Welcome back to my series, Dance Mums Uncovered. According to the cast, there were countless instances where the kids were neglected by the crew and producers. It seems that their needs were ignored, their health and safety was placed at risk, and they were left in vulnerable positions for unacceptable periods of time. Because there was much more to the negligence on the set of Dance Mums than the producers cared to show. Feel free to share your thoughts on the following evidence. First, let's look at trapping the kids. We have heard from numerous cast members that the producers often gave the kids no choice but to go exactly where they wanted them to be. In some extreme cases, they were forcefully locked in areas and given no access to basic necessities. Melissa has revealed that one day on set, they couldn't find their kids. One of the studio mums texted her that the kids had been locked in the bathroom by production. The mums found them crying and holding each other on the bathroom floor. Jill remembers that Abby was on a rampage with one of the mums that day, and so the crew decided to hide them away to get more anger and hideousness out of the mums. Christi and Kelly have recalled that the fight between Holly and Abby in Season 2, Episode 10 went on much longer than the audience got to see. They say that while the pair was arguing, the girls were in the bathroom hiding and crying.
Remember we couldn't find our kids the one time? And one of the moms from our dance studio said, your girls are like, they locked them basically in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And they were like crying like little kitties, like in a circle, holding each other.
Well, I know that they had hidden the kids away because they were afraid for them to see what Abby was going to do to one of the moms.
That fight went on for a long time.
Yeah.
The girls were in the bathroom, they were crying, they were like hiding.
These two accounts could be discussing the exact same day and situation. However, Kendall has recently said that the crew would routinely lock them in the bathroom, suggesting that this happened way more than once. She says that grown men would leave them locked in there for hours to keep them from interfering with their mum's drama.
A lot of the people who were behind the cameras working it, like the producers, the cameramen, they were all like grown men telling little girls like, okay, go sit in the bathroom, we're gonna lock you in there while your parents are fighting. Like they would lock us in bathrooms or closets or rooms to keep us away from the drama so we wouldn't interfere.
Christi remembers another instance in Season 2 when the entire cast went to LA and were taken straight to the production studio after a 5-hour flight to do pickups. Christi claims that the mums weren't allowed to get their kids any food to eat and that they were held in the studio for hours. She says they were basically held hostage and forced to stay there until midnight.
I think this is when they held us hostage. Like we had that 5-hour flight, and when we got there, they were like, we have to pick you up and we have to take you straight to the production studio to do pickups. And the kids didn't eat and they had no food and we had no access, and they held us in that production studio for like hours. It was like midnight before we could leave.
Next, let's explore fueling Abby's wrath. While the producers aren't responsible for Abby's behaviour, they still neglected to protect the kids from the worst of Abby's wrath. They often stood by and let it happen, or even took steps to ensure that Abby would be furious with them. When Paige was first supposed to perform her tongue twister routine in Season 1, Kelly thought that Paige was being set up to fail because no one brought the chair that she had been rehearsing with. Christi suggests that the producers probably acted as though they were bringing the chair for her, pretending that everything was sorted out, when in reality they had no intention of bringing it because it would make Abby mad.
Now in rehearsal she had a chair, so why didn't somebody carry it from rehearsal to the competition?
Because I know you probably would have said, do I need to get this chair? And somebody was like, no, we're good, you don't need it.
The day before Abby threw Paige's chair in Season 2, Kelly says that she called Christi, telling her that production wouldn't let her take the chair home in order to put stoppers on it. They insisted that a production assistant would do it for her. When she showed up the following day and found the chair exactly the same as it had been the day before, she immediately began to paint the chair. Production would not allow her to leave the studio to buy stoppers though. The talent wrangler said that they would send someone to go get them, but they took way too long, and by then Abby was already taking her frustrations out on Paige.
I talked to you on the phone about this, and you're like, they wouldn't let me take the chair home.
I was not allowed to take it home.
I
They
was just gonna
promised
say
me
that.
a PA was going to do it. And when I showed up the next day, the first thing I did when I walked in was check to make sure if the chair was done, and it wasn't.
Correct.
So that's why I started painting it with a marker.
Yep.
And I was not allowed to leave to go buy stoppers.
Our talent wrangler, and we're like, you need stoppers. And she's like, we'll send someone.
Yeah, well, they took them way too long.
Long before Chloe went on her school trip in season 2, Christi had told the producers about it. She begged them not to let Abby go after Chloe, but all they told her was that she would have to deal with the consequences of her actions. Christi and Kelly have also revealed that if Abby was unaware that a girl had made a mistake in a dance, or was crying in another room, the producers would tattle on the kids and send her into the room to catch them.
I had told them being all the powers that be in command about this trip months in advance, like I just said. I'm like, well, don't let Abby like come after her. They're like, well, you're gonna have to deal with the consequences of it. We're filming the show. You have every producer watching every girl who is gonna report back to Abby. Paige missed a kick. Chloe missed a turn. If the cameras see her crying, they will send Abby out.
Evidence number 3, forced on camera. If the kids didn't want to appear on camera for any reason, their wishes and emotions were often totally ignored. No matter how distressed the kids were on set, there were always cameras and microphones around to capture their every movement. In season 1, we see Mackenzie pointing to a camera that she is trying to escape from. Apparently, the kids would often try to get away from the cameras, but the evidence of this was usually cut from final episodes. Christi remembers during the week of the Fantastic Group Dance that the girls were standing in the hallway, not wanting to enter the den where the cameras were. They were incredibly mortified and upset, and yet they were forced to appear on camera in these costumes.
The camera like swoops in the door and Mackenzie points right at the camera. I know how much the kids used to try to get away from the cameras, and you don't often see that make the cut. I remember the girls standing in the hallway and they did not want to walk in that room on camera.
I know.
They were.
You go. No, you go.
They were
you go.
so
Yeah.
mortified and upset standing there.
One of the sound operators on the show, Adam, revealed that the producers would also take spare microphones and hide them in locations where they knew the cast would go to hide. Christi says that even the bathrooms weren't a guaranteed safe space, because sometimes the crew would follow them in.
Do you know how many times I was in the bathroom and a camera would be standing outside of the stall?
You guys would have to follow us in the bathroom at times.
Yes. We do what's called a plant mic, which means I get one of the spare mics and kind of hide it in a bush, or you kind of figure out where the cast go and hide.
Disturbingly, the Highlands recalled an instance where they were in the car with the camera crew, who told them to get ready for dance. They said that they would have to get changed, and the camera crew suggested that they should just go ahead and do it. And filming certainly didn't stop during panic attacks. Christi and Kelly talk about Nia having a panic attack in season 2, saying that they know how hard it is to be crying when a camera is in your face. Adam claims that he was asked by a producer in Las Vegas to get a boom mic into Paige's face when she was in the corner of the room bawling her eyes out.
I remember filming in Vegas, and I know Paige was having a real tough time, and she was crying her eyes out, and I was asked like many times by a producer to get a boom in there, which means when the kids don't have mics on, you have to get that big fluffy microphone and kind of, run in there.
4. Health and safety concerns. According to the mums, there were many instances where production was negligent in protecting the physical and mental well-being of the children on the show. Christi revealed that during the filming of Brooke's music video, Summer Love Song, Maddie was made to dance in the street over and over. She says that it took around 8 takes, and she was afraid that Maddie was going to get hit by a truck. Christi herself had to step in and block traffic in order to protect her. If this is true, this sounds like major negligence on production's part.
They had to do that shot like 8 times, and I was like, she's gonna get hit. And I was like blocking traffic where you can't see me because I was like, this kid's gonna get run over by a truck on Hollywood and Highland.
Paige performing Light My Fire on a broken foot should have been considered a health and safety risk in itself. However, Kelly claims that Paige's boot also broke during dress rehearsals. She says that she wasn't allowed to go get another boot in order to protect her foot, because they were in the middle of filming.
She's not even supposed to dance, but I'm allowing her to do it with the boot on, but now the boot doesn't have a bottom, and I'm at dress rehearsal and on camera and can't leave to go get the new boot.
Even though a psychologist was placed on set by the production company from season 4 onwards, Chloe claims that they were very rarely present. Kelly says that the psychologist told her that what Abby said about Paige needing to visit the doctor to find out why she's stupid was totally okay. It doesn't sound like the comment was a one-off insult either, as Chloe remembers Abby saying it at Pyramid, and Kelly remembers her doing it in front of 400 people.
Oh yeah, when you guys finally had it like a therapist on set. Yeah, I remember that.
It was like season 4, but then they never were there.
Oh yeah, I remember her. Like I said, oh, well, they told me Paige needed to go to Children's Hospital and find out what's wrong with her. She's so stupid. And she's like, well, what's wrong with that? I'm like, are you kidding me? You're a child therapist and you're telling me that's okay?
And I knew that she said Children's Hospital another point.
That's another time. Yes.
Yeah, I remember that was in Pyramid.
They show it again and we're in front of an audience of like 400 people and she says
I remember that.
Kendall says that the psychiatrist only came in to talk to them if they needed it. Abby seems to support this by saying that they brought in a psychologist for her to talk to when she crossed a line. Bryn is the only one who has claimed that she benefited from this, saying that she had several panic attacks on set and would have to sit down with the psychologist to calm down.
So we had a team psychiatrist who would come in and talk to us if we needed to.
There were also psychologists, that when there was a big fight, when something happened, when someone was upset, you had to go and talk to them, whether it was on the phone, whether they were there in person. And then when I did my job and I crossed the line, ooh, Abby said this and we're going to find her. And, ooh, we have to talk to a psychologist and blah, blah, blah.
Like a lot of the time I'll see clips of me from the show and I'm like this. When I'd have these like panic attacks, I would itch my arms so hard. Like my forearms, I'd itch them. I'd itch my neck.
Mine was always my chest
would be red. And I'd have to like sit down with this psychologist and she'd have to calm me down.
And finally, we have lowest priority. Most viewers would probably agree that out of everyone on set, the children should have been protected the most and treated the best by the producers. And yet, Kendall has described her experience on the show very differently.
I don't even want to get into it, but reality TV is not what you guys think it is. It is not lavish whatsoever. We got treated like animals.
The mums have shared that the cast were the last to receive food from Crafty on set. The kids would be starving after their many hours of dancing, but they were told that they had to wait until the crew got their food because they were unionised. Sometimes there was just about nothing left for the cast to eat, and all they were given were potato chips and fruit snacks. Furthermore, while the producers got to eat at tables with chairs, the cast was often forced to eat lunch on the floor.
Remember we used to have to sit on the floor and eat?
Producers had tables and chairs.
Yeah,
The kids...
we had to sit on the floor and eat our lunch.
They made the cast eat last. They put the crew in front of us, and the girls were so hungry.
I remember going through the food line when we weren't first, and there was nothing left.
They gave them potato chips, fruit snacks.
During competition days, the ALDC girls and any of their featured rivals would get an hour-long break to eat their lunch. But while they were taking a break from the stresses of filming, they would often have crew members bringing in their friends and family members to come take photos with them. Competition days were really long, and not having sufficient breaks was really hard on the entire cast.
Do you remember when they would always bring somebody in our dressing room to meet us, though?
Yes.
We have 1 hour that we do not have to be on.
People would stay in there for like a half an hour of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, you have to meet this executive's second cousin's best friend's uncle.
I mean, those competition days were long. I mean, sometimes we were filming like 14 hours.
So what do you guys think? Does it shock you that production didn't step in and make filming easier for the children on set? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.